Hey everyone, welcome back to Unsealed and Reveal, the show where we unbox and showcase the latest and greatest six-scale goodness that Sideshow has to offer. I'm your host, Terry Smith, and with me, as always, is my buddy, partner in crime, and man behind the wheel of the show, Guy Klender. What's happening, Guy?
How you doing, Terry? Coming off Star Wars week, and man, was that a lot of fun. I'm glad that I'm not ready for it to end, so I'm glad that we're doing a Star Wars figure. And this guy is pretty incredible.
Me too. It's good that we've extended Star Wars week. I kind of try to do the same thing with my birthday every year. So, if we can do it with Star Wars and Sideshow.
Pull it into the 10, the 14, eventually 21.
Right. If you look down below, you can also see we have a special guest here on the show, minding the store, making sure all of your questions get fielded to us in the proper order. Hey, what's going on, Rob?
Hey, everybody. Happy to be here and see this awesome figure. I, as well, cannot say how much I'd like the Star Wars Week extended for a full month, please, if we could.
Exactly.
I think you'd have to search far and wide, especially among viewers of this show that have a problem with Star Wars Week going beyond Star Wars.
Let's be honest. We're all about
here, and you dig that kind of thing, you're in good company.
Yeah. We're a 365 Star Wars kind of people, aren't we?
I definitely am. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Guy,
all right.
Who do you have on the table today?
All right. This is Kylo Ren from Rise of Skywalker. Is an absolutely incredible portrait and a really neat couple of light-up features we're going to get into. Right off the top here on the cover of the box, you've got your cigar band that goes over, showing the helmeted portrait with that Kintsugi style of the cracked helmet. We'll get into that a little bit later because that's pretty darn great.
I'm glad you looked that up because I forgot to.
Yes. There on the side, cape, ignited saber. On the back, they've done a really nice photo of him with a few of the Sith troopers as well. So this is a guy that you can pose just in a standard traditional standing pose, and you've got a menacing looking figure. So now, slip this up and off of our shoebox. And then we have our inside.
Oh, that's glorious.
I really like that. Terry, this goes to what you do so much and have taught me so much with the posing, is where it's those little elements, just that slight downward angle on that head, and suddenly you get a huge story.
Exactly. He's not just standing there being menacing. There's a fair bit of brooding going on.
Exactly.
There, and, I think that speaks to the character.
Yeah. Now that is a photograph of the figure. And so as you can see, just the artwork in there, of course, you're going to see that when we take that out of the box, but you can see just how well the character photographs and just how intricate he is. Now, you do have, technically, is just going to have his cape. Okay. So when you do take it out, that's going to be on your underside here. Take that out as such. Your upper tray or main tray, on top you're going to have all of your swap out hands. You're going to have your instructions. These are important, and we'll get into why they are important, particularly with any light up feature. Anytime you are doing a light up feature, you're going to want to be cautious about that. But here on our tray, you are going to have your figure. There are 6 batteries. They are 2 different sizes. I have put those in. You're going to have some light up features here on the helmet, as well as the light up arm. You have the additional hands as well, and then the standard stand.
Now the light up feature in the helmet, I did not expect. I'm guessing that it illuminates. I guess I wasn't paying close enough attention to the fine print on the product page. But wow, I'm guessing that that's meant to illuminate the cracks in the helmet.
Correct.
Give it a bit of a red glow.
Exactly, and
really
we're going to get into it, which is really neat. I mean, it was we see in the earlier film where he smashes his helmet apart in a fit of rage, and I know that the art department, producers, and everybody else involved in the film, really again wanted to have that helmet back. So they talked about the Japanese art of kintsugi, which is 2 words, one meaning repair and one meaning golden. So what it is they will take pottery that has been broken, and they actually want to show off those cracks, show off the wear, because it is part of the journey. And when we talk about Kylo Ren, that's obviously part of his journey to see that he is perhaps quite broken, but can be repaired. And so it does tell even more of a story there. Now, there is that portrait that we have, the unmasked portrait. There's the scar running down the side. Really, really well done.
Those features, Guy. Look at that.
I know. I mean, it's not just a paint application. That is some serious
the way that the
sculpt.
light catches the eyes, the catch lights there.
Exactly.
Excellent profile.
Yeah, that's what I wanted you to see, was the way that the light is catching those on that one there, and how tight in
That is pure Adam Driver.
the
Look at it.
hair is on that.
Got a little bit of lint there. Yeah.
There we go.
That's to be expected.
Space dry cleaners. There we go. But now that we are there, I do want to take a look at the back of this outfit, and you can see the way in which it's stitched. That it does have that, it's a black fabric, but then a dark colored, almost earth tone brown thread that goes through it. This also is a great look to see the wear and tear on the arms there. Okay, how it has that kind of glossy down at the base of a fold, and then gradiating up into a matte on the underfolds. So, see on the back there is a Velcro for the belt. I don't see that you would need to remove, but it is there. Right there is a little slide for putting his saber on. I think most of the time people are probably going to want to have the saber in hand. That's what, of course, I think Terry, you and I will be doing here today. If you do choose to use this, remember that is pretty small, and so you're going to want to be cautious and delicate when you do that.
Yeah,
Spin
definitely.
that around.
I mean, I don't have any experience with that. I mean, I know my reputation of breaking things is well known, but I certainly haven't done anything like that with a Kylo Ren figure yet.
Exactly. Yet, as we work our way down on the figure to the underside of the jacket, okay, it's that pleated, that stitching we talked about. This I do want to show off the pant by lifting up here. And then we'll also do a little
Still using that kind of parachute pant material?
Exactly, yes, that nylon parachute pant material. And I just wanted to kind of lift that up to be able to show off that material as well. Nice part about a material like that is it is pretty forgiving. We don't have to worry as much about it. Of course, you can twist out arms, and because of the type of fabric that it is, we do have a good wide stance.
It's interesting because, I mean, now it's been a long time since I've taken a really close look at the source material of Kylo Ren from The Force Awakens, but I seem to remember that his pants in The Force Awakens were like a shinier sort of denim material, and Hot Toys chose to go with this sort of nylon parachute pant material because it more accurately reflected the light the way that the sort of denim-esque pants on the original costume did. As I recall, again, that's several years ago.
I think you're right about that. I'm not sure if they used like a wax denim or something like that, but I know that in the Star Wars world, they've had a tendency to use denim. I know that, Luke's original pants and Han pant were both denim. Then you get down to some incredible boots. These guys are gorgeous. And what I've noticed throughout the outfit, particularly on the boots and on the hands and such, is the use of having a little bit of that dirt in between that's showing off the bends, the folds, the creases, the crevices, and the stitches. Kylo fought more in this movie than we saw in any of the others. And that's apparent here, particularly that fight in the very beginning that is the opening of the film. Now, this is not a cut boot. This is one solid piece. Okay, but Terry and I, myself with the guidance of Terry, are going to see just all the kind of poses we can get out of something like that. But I am just amazed by the intricacy.
You already said, of course, that the boot is uncut. Is there any kind of flexibility to it, or is it what you've come to expect from most 6-scale uncut boots?
You do have a bit of flexibility. So what I'm going to do here is see if you can see when I'm holding it flat. So I'm going to hold at that ankle part, and I do have a little bit of play. Just a hint, but but enough.
It moves somewhat, yeah.
Enough to
It's,
have.
it's a really tough decision on the part of the people who design and engineer these things, trying to decide
Right.
whether to when and where to go with a split boot. But in the case of a boot like Kylo's, if you do the if you try to do a split boot on this particular boot, then it's not going to read accurately whatsoever. Then
Yeah,
you're going to sacrifice the overall aesthetic of the
I
boot.
think that's
So,
definitely what they've chosen to go with here is to give
Yes.
you that film accuracy. But I do want to, and Sam had a great close up here, and you and I talking about that. I want to show that I do have a little bit of movement to the side as well. Again, it's just tiny, but there is a ball joint underneath, but it's not a cut joint. Okay, but since we are down here in the boot aspect,
uh-oh.
oh boy,
Here it comes. Ready?
ready, the spin,
Yeah.
boom.
Tread watch.
Tread watch. All right. Kylo has incredibly slick shoes.
Kylo is not putting the tread in tread watch, guy.
He's not. Yep. He's a slick shoe kind of guy. But when you see this guy sliding around in these, particularly in those battles, maybe that's wise. He had these incredibly nice slick
Okay,
shoes.
maybe it's by design.
Uh huh.
I mean, how did he keep his footing on that in that little faux Death Star indoor scene? That's wow.
You know, or where the blast from the Falcon coming and he's barely hanging on
I'm
there.
getting nervous just looking at it. I don't want to walk around.
But since we are there, let's take a look at posability as far as our bend in the knee. Okay, we do have a double jointed knee. As you talked about, Terry, that parachute material is parachute pant material is very forgiving, and so it has a very realistic look when in a bend like that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. We did show up there at our waist area what we were able to do because of that when I had that lifted up. But, you know, it is important to show again that we do have our Terry twists. You can almost hear that that's an almost ratchet
That's interesting.
Sound.
That's an interesting place for a ratchet in a Star Wars figure.
that you're getting.
Are you feeling like the clicks in a ratchet when you as you do
They're
that?
very,
Is it
very
doing-
slight. And I think the reason that I'm not feeling them as distinctly is because of the padding of the suit.
Okay.
Because it's a thicker suit, but as you can hear it, and I'm boom, yep, I'm hearing 1, 2, 3, at least.
Wow.
So it's
They're
at least
really
3 to the
moving
side.
in
So
that direction, aren't they?
it's a nice one to be able to do. Up on their shoulder, we do have that butterfly joint, allowing us to, particularly in somebody that's going to be a fighter, to go back and forward. And that neat kind of knight cloak, where it's, you know, he has a very armored like look, you know,
Yeah.
where it's there, and then the medieval knight kind of look on there, which makes sense.
Yeah, they really went with his original appearance. Really had sort of a Crusader Knight sort of vibe going for it.
Yes.
But I so greatly loved his original costume.
Yeah.
What we've seen in subsequent films has been a nice, how do I want to say it, evolution of that costume that kind of matured along with the character.
Yes.
Became more militant and a little bit more adult. The kind of Crusader Knight vibe kind of lent itself to something of a fantasy, like he was still a bit of a boy in the first film. So,
Yeah. Now, after we get over to our shoulder here, let's talk about our range of motion in our shoulder. We've got
Indeed.
a little bit above 90 there, but of course, you have very full range of motion as far as straight forward and back on that. Cut bicep as well. Double.
Oh, I see what happened there. Yeah, that's a motion that can sometimes catch you off guard once you've started swiveling those arms, and then all
Exactly.
of a sudden you find your shoulder joint is out of alignment, and you need to find out where it is again.
Yep, and find out where it is.
Yeah, many a figure has been permanently damaged when that's happened to somebody who's uninitiated, I think.
But there we go
Yeah,
with our double joint.
yeah. Look at that.
You have
Wow.
there. All right, so plenty of range there.
Yeah.
Next up, ball jointed head. Okay.
Double ball jointed.
No, as you can see there on the neck, that is a solid.
Okay.
Okay.
Seamless neck. Got it.
Seamless neck, but a ball
As we
joint.
come to expect.
This is just give for many of the figures they've moved to this. It is a cleaner look, and doesn't seem to really limit us in range of motion.
Oh yeah.
Well, We've got.
And I think also when you put the helmet on him, I think if they followed the path of the Last Jedi version of Kylo Ren, then when you get the helmeted portrait on, there was a separate neck and helmet, so that you could actually get that double jointed effect.
This is pretty darn interesting as far as what they've done for the helmeted version, and we are going to definitely talk about it. As I said, it's something that you're going to want to look up in your instructions and make sure you're following, but there is the helmeted portrait there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. There's that neat...
It looks far more ghoulish than in previous offerings.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Oh, yes. And I think that beat and broken aspect does that. One of the things I was really impressed to see is actually one panel right here when you're looking at it. When I watched when they put it back, he's beaten and smashed that thing so much that it's not going to be smooth when they put it back together. It actually is kind of dented inward, and it is here. So it's every little ding and scrape they've gone in and done that. Now, you were asking about the way in which it's put together. Now, this has a light up feature. In fact, actually has two separate light up features, and gently remove this.
That's two separate light up features?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Gently remove. There is our light up feature.
A jolly candy-like button.
Yeah, I said this is it's like my shade of lipstick that I use there.
It's the history eraser button, you fool.
But as you can see, it's going to have 3-cell batteries that are included. Use one of those small screwdrivers that we've talked about. You'll see where it has 2 of the different on switches. Now we'll later darken all of it here, but if you click upward, this is going to give it your heartbeat or pulsing.
Stop it.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
And you're gonna see when we've got the helmet over it, the other straight down is a solid and on, and then the third being off. I'm going to leave it as solid on, and I'm going to put the helmet back on. Now, you'll see that there's only one way that it'll go in, but you do see that you kind of have the neck hole that way.
It's feed, right? Yeah.
Okay. When we've got the light on, you'll see that where there's the front LED and a top LED. That front LED obviously goes front of the mask. Mm-hmm. When I place it on here, we're going to have our lights dimmed for just a second here.
I want one.
And you're going to see how it goes. You see just how bright that is.
That is way cooler than I imagined.
Okay, and illuminates in that red. Okay, It is a very, very deep red. That was the illuminated. This is the pulsating and breathing aspect. Now, I rewatched the film yet again last night to kind of see this, and it does tend to, at times when he's angered or moving through things, that it does have this. It does have a bit of a light effect to it. All right, so that's light effect number 1. Since we have our lights off, I am going to set the Kylo Ren helmet over to here.
Okay.
We are also going to have this armament here. Okay, you've seen this with some of the other figures. In fact, you've seen this with the other Kylo figures as well. This is when you swap out the arm right at the elbow joint. Mm-hmm. But I do want to show the light feature. Okay, you'll see that it illuminates all 3. Now the loose saber that you have, if you want to have just the handle, as you can, and so I'm going to swap out the blades into, and you see our illuminated blade as well. If you're choosing to use this illuminated blade, again, make sure to read those instructions because you will not be able to spin the hand all around. Remember, there are small wires that go through. Okay, so your range of motion is a little more limited, but you do have that incredible feature. So that's the other light up feature that you're going to have, and it is incredibly bright.
That's good.
Yeah,
it's got a long way to travel up that saber blade. So.
Well, I mean his saber, when you see it in that kind of hit like that, was that raw energy. You know, this wasn't that smooth-sided that we're used to seeing. This was that raw energy, and that was something new. I mean, we've always gotten new things each time that we've been given a trilogy. You know, we've got Maul's double-bladed saber, and we'd never seen anything like that. Kylo with this, you know, raw energy there.
Which kind of harkens to what I mentioned earlier with the medieval knight look of his original costume. That kind of works with that, having that.
It does. It does very. Painted. Terry, you nailed it there. Yeah, it does have that very. You know, that's one I didn't get with with his blade. That it does also have that. Now there on the side there is that little clip that I said can sling in the belt. Now I'm gonna.
It's kind of important on a kind of a related note, Guy. Really quick before we move into that, if you remember the difference in lightsaber battle techniques that we saw when the Force Awakens premiered, the less dynamic, twirling, flipping lightsaber combat style that we saw in the prequel trilogy, there was something a little bit more low key, which kind of addresses something more in the way of a Western martial arts, the sort of sword fighting techniques that you would have seen with medieval knights use, given the type of weaponry that they used and the fact that they were dealing with armor, wielding swords on horseback and whatnot. There was a completely different type of fighting style that evolved because of that. And the whole thing is just, his whole package from costume to saber to fighting style speaks to that. And it's a really cool design choice. But
yeah,
you were talking about.
Oh no! I just want to go over the last thing, Terry. I love that you're bringing the history into it. I mean, I got to see a great exhibit that was kind of the history and the Star Wars elements that have been pulled from history, you know, the different dynasties and this and the other, from Vader's helmet to everything else that we've seen. So here's our base. Now it is a traditional base that we've been seeing that kind of has that Imperial raised, but there's also this one here. Okay, bit of a shine.
Oh, that's interesting. Is that more of a Sith destroyer sort of?
I think so. I think this is a little bit more of the Sith destroyer. So, and that does just slide on over there, and it is your traditional stand. Okay, so I'm not going to choose which one because you may tell me otherwise. Here we've got our different hands. We have our two fists, right and left. We have our open and saber hold, right and left. And then we have our intense force left as well. It is with one of these that I want to show, particularly this one here. That's where I was saying that the stitching, where they've taken and put that kind of dirt wash to it, the beaten, that it really shows off those intricate little stitches. All right. And I like that a whole bundle. The last accessory that we're going to have is Kylo's cape. Incredible.
I love that it's hooded this time.
Yep. Incredible work here.
Brought back the hoods.
Incredible work here on the fabric. It's such a unique look that they've done with that there. You do have your two magnets on both shoulders, and those will click in. But before I do anything like that, I am going to ask Terry to tell me what he would like to see me do.
Oh, before we move into that, I just want to ask our buddy Rob here. Have there been any questions for Guy involving the accessories or the figure itself? You got anything queued up for us there?
I do. Well, singer-songwriter over on YouTube wanted to know if there was any wires in the vest to help with posing the vest as well.
Oh,
interesting.
Okay. In the we'll call it the tunic here. I think what you'll be talking about is in the lower edge. Because this is a thick pleated material and stitched, it does not. It kind of does a flat lay down, which I think is really probably the way in which it would have moved as actual fabric.
Yeah, it's a fair bet.
But that answers that one. Or hopefully does.
Kind of straightforward.
Any others?
Well, you were asking, Guy, which pose we should go with here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to start with just something basic, something a bit museum-esque.
Okay.
So for what I've got in mind, I'm going to need is, will the helmet come off of that neck?
Yes, it will, sir. Yeah, the
does,
helmet
right?
will allow you to pose it just on, or have it as an accessory piece as well as
Okay.
a helmeted piece. The important
That's
thing.
worth looking into.
Yes.
Let's play with that a little bit.
All right. Now, whenever you're doing this, again, be careful with it. I'm going to actually kind of just hold the helmet and wiggle out the lighting element.
Okay. That's
All
smart.
right. Just because of the, the it's not incredibly thin, but the delicate nature of the way in which that helmet is, I don't want to be pushing against those edges. But yes, he is able to hold said helmet. All right. So I've
If
got
there's
the
one thing Kylo Ren has shown us, it's that you can break that helmet.
he has shown us. Yes, exactly. He has shown us that. All right, so I have that removed. So I do have the helmet as accessory. Next up, sir.
All right. So I also think, okay, which hand? Like, let's look at the hands there. Which hand do you think would be best for, say, just holding that helmet? Is there a way that he can just hold that helmet, like gripping it, not necessarily holding it under his? I know the temptation is there, and we've seen the photos where they've shown him like cradling the helmet under his armpit, up against his side. But I don't think we should do that. I want to do something just a little bit more.
I
Like he's
understand.
bent on action. Like he's not quite doing something really awesome yet, but he's moving towards it.
Well, you do have two options
heroic.
there in that. We're going to see if we can do a hand close-up, and I'm going to hold both next to each other. We do have that hand that would normally be used as a gripping hand for, say, the lightsaber, but we can
Right.
try and do it for the helmet. Or we have the one that's much more open there. You know, while we do have this shot, I do want to bring attention to the little zipper that you have right there. That is where you're going to open and be able to swap out that arm. Again, follow those instructions. Or there is an incredible poser video on how to be a poser that Terry did with a Kylo Ren figure. Not this particular one, but they have stayed the same in how they swap out. So that's a little bit more step-by-step
Right.
that you can go in on that. So what do you think, Terry? You want to have this slight open one, or we're going to more of a grip hand?
I think, well, let's try just for safety's sake. Let's see if we can make it work with the slightly open one. Obviously, the saber grip, if the fingers are pliable enough, then we may be able to make that work. But if we can make it work with a more open hand,
Okay.
and avoid putting undue pressure on that helmet, I think we should try to do that first. If it doesn't work, we can always go with the tighter grip.
All right. Wonderful. Will do. Next up, before I get further into this, would you like the cloak on or off?
Let's leave that cloak on, dude.
Okay, leaving the cloak on.
Yeah.
I figured as much, but I wanted to make sure. All right. So, we've got our open.
Just really quick, guy, is now the open hand is also on his he's also got the same hand on the left
Same hand
right?
on the left side as well. Would you like me to use
Let's
the
go
left
with
hand?
that.
Okay.
Let's
We're going to
go
go
with
with the left hand. Did you want me to have it kind of upward, or are we talking down to the side? I say that only so I'm kind of getting the right grip.
Looking down to the side.
All right. What I'm noticing here, Terry, and I'm going to see if I can turn it to the side that I'm able to do. Can you see that, Terry, where I was able to take the neck area of it and kind of wedge that in between the thumb and the forefinger?
Yeah.
We're going to
Nice.
see as I lower the arm. Now, of
That's
course,
it.
where I've done that there, we're not seeing the helmet as much. But if I turn the hand a little,
There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
there's our hand turned a little bit. How do you like that?
Perfect.
Okay, so
Now
there's
let's
that,
swap-
that hand there.
Now let's swap out that right hand and get a sword hand and get a sword grip hand in there.
All right.
And might want to go ahead and put the saber in it before you put it in there. And I'm trying to decide: do we want the lightsaber lit or unlit?
Well, I'm putting it in here, but as far as removing the blades, I can do that once I have in hand. I think
Let's
because
go
he's
ahead.
in a
Here's what we're
relaxed...
gonna do.
Do you want it in
Go
a
on.
relaxed, because he's got the helmet in a loose
let's just
hold.
do it without the blades for this one, okay?
All right.
What I'm thinking of with this is what if you get this figure and you need a pose. Let's say that your shelf space is you're a little bit short on real estate. Your shelf is getting a little bit crowded, but you really want to get this figure in there. If you have the figure holding his lightsaber, that lightsaber takes up quite a bit of real estate. And then you have to move figures around to accommodate it, and sometimes it winds up being at an unnatural angle. If it sounds like I'm talking like this from experience, it's because I am. I think that for this first pose, we're just going to showcase how you would bring Kylo into a display that had a lot of other figures in it without crowding them out, so to speak. So
Yeah. All right. Now, I did put that in there. Well, now that I have the figure turned around, we did have a question earlier about wire in the under cloak of it, and there isn't, but there is wire in the hood aspect. So if you are going to do that hood, you do have wire there. I think it looks best probably with the helmet. But Terry,
too, and
let's talk about the legs or arms, and then I'm going to step away so you can just enjoy the figure and not me standing in the way.
as soon as we just really quick, let's make some quick adjustments to it, just to because what I would like to do is I'd like to do a Terry twist to the right, his right, not yours.
Terry twist to the right.
His right, not yours. That's his left. There we go. And then you can replace that when you get the opportunity. But before that, maybe turn his head also to his right. So we're kind of getting a little bit of a twist to the torso, and then his head's going to twist a little bit further to the right. Like he's got the lightsaber hilt down at his side, but it's between him and whoever he's looking at. It's not quite in a guard position, but he's ready to light that thing up.
All right. Now, lightsaber there. Is it, I've kind of done a small bend to the elbow.
Yeah, you did. Cool.
Is that all right?
I think so. If
All right. And now for our left hand holding the helmet. Is that going to be forward or back?
Side holding the helmet. Yeah.
Straight down to the side if I can get it to do that. What about our legs?
Legs having his right leg a little bit off right of center, so to speak. Like he's not quite taking a step forward, but he's got intent.
All right. Intent to do.
Let's get that, and let's get that helmet in there. Now, while Guy's doing that, do we have any more questions really quick, Rob?
Yes, I actually do. I have a question from E.W. Rummick over on the YouTube channel. He's just curious if the bulb inside the helmet is replaceable just in case it breaks or burns out.
Ooh,
Okay, that is a good question. And you know what? That's not one I expected. So I have not seen. Let me take a look if we have anything in the instructions letting us know that it will have that. Okay, it is not saying
while you're
that.
While you're doing that, Guy, I'm just going to go ahead and announce to the audience that we are doing our weekly Guess the Reveal contest, and that's going to begin right now. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, Guess the Reveal is the contest that we do every week on this show, in which everybody has the opportunity to just pound out what they think on the keyboards, on what they think next week's Guess the Reveal figure is going to be. So this is the point where Rob starts freaking out because he's got to monitor 8 bazillion different social media networks, and he's got to try to catch which of you identifies the correct figure first. So in about 10, 15 minutes or so, or however long it takes for us to have a winner, we'll be announcing who the winner of this contest is.
Excellent. Terry, upon further looking, I don't see that this is the kind, the lighting element is one that you could open up and remove, but because this and the one in the lightsaber are going to be those LEDs that run for tens of thousands of hours, I'm not seeing that would be a thing that you would have to change the bulb out. You will probably only need to change the batteries out, depending on how often you
Anticipate it being
light
an
those up.
issue.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be an issue for you, but we can light that up later. So Terry, did I do okay? Terry, I have to say I always appreciate when you have me do a museum pose, but give it some life, because a lot of times, as you said, either for shelf space or you're a first-time collector, or you're not really wanting to spend a ton of time posing, but you want to have the life to it, that it's those little tweaks like this that can really bring that thing to life. And so I want to thank you for myself
Yeah.
in teaching me how to be able to do this kind of thing.
Cool. Shall we try to do another pose?
I think we shall. I think we
Excellent.
shall.
Excellent. You've already got that helmet lit up, so let's go ahead and reassemble it.
All right.
Because we're going to do an action pose with helmet, lit up saber, the works. We're going to go to town.
All right. There is our Adam Driver and Kylo Ren head there.
Our horror shot for the day? Is that, yeah. Bring me the head of Adam Driver.
There we go. Our light up. This
Okay,
pulsing
how's that,
this pulsing idea to me is very interesting. So that happens to be the one I turned him toward.
That's good. If you would have asked, I would have asked you to do that. Yeah, but I'm glad you did it.
Now, you can see a little bit when I have the hood over there. You can see just how that glows up.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're showing it off, so I'm going to leave that down. But you do have that cape option. That's a neat one to have. All right.
If I ever get my hands on this, I am going to explore having that hood over the helmet and to see how effective it, and how sinister it can look. Because when he had his hood up in The Force Awakens, dang,
Yeah.
positively ghoulish, and I really appreciate
exactly. So it will be interesting to see. That's the beauty. That's what I'm loving so much about, and you and I both about Sixth, is that you can keep coming back, keep revisiting them, keep changing and giving them life that you want. Now I'm going to take the cloak off for a moment. So when you're telling me how to pose it, then that will be the last accessory piece that I put on.
Good call. Let's swap out that left hand guy for that really interesting force pushing hand.
Oh yes. I again, like I said, I rewatched that thing last night. But when he's in the very beginning and he's flinging the blade behind him and crashing, he was intense, very very intense on that one.
Okay, so you've got the arm raised forward. That's great. That's exactly what I wanted you to do. Let's see if you can raise that hand up so that he's actually pushing it. Kind of like what I'm doing here. I just, you probably can't see me. I don't know if you have a monitor there, but I'm kind of demonstrating like just by raising that hand up.
All right.
At a 90-degree angle.
All right, Terry. What I'm doing is holding it at that wrist joint and then giving a little push up on the palm to do that. So, how's that? Is that too much?
Nope. That's good. That's a good start. We've got it where we need it to be for this point in the pose. Now, what we're also going to be doing is just going to give it a bit of a Terry twist. I cannot believe that I'm calling it that. To his right.
All right, the body.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
There's another click
now
there.
I want you to take Now I want you to take the head and the neck, and I want you to rotate both so that the line of sight is almost straight down that hand. Other way. You got it. You got it.
Okay. I am making sure to really do this by the neck.
Yeah.
That being a solid piece, because I don't want to be putting any extra pressure on that helmet.
Now, I'm kind of curious, Guy, how much of a tilt can you get out of that helmet to his right? Or, I'm sorry, to his left.
Tilting the...
Yes. All right. Great. Now, just to compensate, I want you to move his neck forward, like you're leaning the neck forward. There we go. That's cool. Like kind of like he's sticking his chin out, kind of a thing. Like he's really thrusting that head forward to give. That's it. That's the look we're after. Okay. Now,
how are we on the height of the arm? Did I get that?
I trust you to make those adjustments on the arm. Based on the movements that we're going to be doing next. Compensatory placement of the saber arm. We're going to move that one back like he's just swung it. He just swung it in a great big arc right in front of him, and he's finishing his swing and off with a force push. You see what I'm doing here? You understand? Yeah, you got it.
So you could stand up and I can look. That's helpful too.
Yeah.
You want a little bend in the elbow.
You can see what I'm doing here, right here. I'll just grab I happen to have a lightsaber right here.
Oh,
because I usually do.
As one would.
So kind of like this, if you can see what I've got going on here. Yeah.
I mean, I knew what you wanted, but I think the audience really wanted to see that grimace you made there.
Pretty sure they did.
Well, you know.
There's actually a Facebook photo of me doing that same thing.
I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
All right, Terry,
all right,
how's
guys, now-
that for the arm? The one is our right arm with our saber is now back at about the same height.
It's looking pretty good. Now, see what I'm doing here with my head. And I kind of want to see if you can't do that with Kylo's head. Well, I've got the saber back. I just kind of want his head tilted down like he's really got a business face going on. We've talked a lot about the Mandalorian and about how he has a tendency to work that visor like the brim of a cowboy hat. So kind of the same thing with Kylo. Unimaginative types might look at it and say, "Why is Kylo looking down?" Well, he's not. You can't see his eyes, but his eyes are still looking at you, even though his head is tilted down.
How's that, Terry?
Nailed it.
All right.
That's it. All right.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So
Now we're down on our legs and waist. I mean, we gave
waist
it our
up
Terry
is
twist,
complete.
but
From the waist up, I think we're complete. I want you to take that left leg and move it forward and just have it like he's just stepped forward onto it. Just a little bit. Doesn't need to be too much. You can go pretty extreme with this, and I have with another Kylo Ren figure.
we talking a little tiny step like that, or we want a little bigger step?
We're going to go in increments. Let's go with a little bit bigger step. Yeah, because we definitely want some dynamism to this pose. And then his right leg, let's move it back. And this is going to be tough to do. You might need to implement the stand.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll have that on standby, as a
see what you
stand
did
should
there.
be.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you going to have me do
Standby.
for right leg?
Right leg, move it out. Now, since we don't have the cut boot like we talked about, essentially his boot, the bottom of his boot is going to be at an angle when we get done with this, and that's fine because you would probably be doing something similar if you were actually affecting this pose in real life.
You know, I have just enough. Remember we had that little wiggle we talked about? That when you had me push that out there,
Yeah.
it's holding on its own. Can you see that he's...
And that's fine. There you go. Now, do we want to implement that cape guy? What do you think?
I think so. I think
that's
so.
got enough weight that it tilts it, that it makes it topple, or is it going to stay where it needs to be?
Well, that's the fun of our play, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
We get to see how it does it. I don't know about you. It's you know, there was a wonderful painter that used to talk about happy accidents, and I think we get that in our pose as well. Because now doing it with that, I get to see just how kind of open that cape can be, the hood, where you get that silk on the interior of the hood.
I think that's got it.
It really shows it. Now, do you want that saber you said had been in battle? Do we want to light the? I mean, not light it up, but shall I extend the blades?
Yeah, this is we want to bring everything to bear.
All right.
One of my favorite phrases, and I know I use it too much, but you know, we just had a wild bear loose in the city of St. Louis this week. Made all the news. All right, that's it. Look at that. Once you get that lightsaber lit up, it just really brings it home. Kind of step back there, guy. Let's see how that thing looks like. Yeah. Kylo Ren has just cut off his own head.
Maybe I'll move the portrait there, but I did want you to see it, of course.
Pretty good, man. That's pretty good. Now you can go more extreme with it and like really get those legs apart. I'm thinking of a particular a sort of advertisement photo that they used for The Force Awakens, where he's just really in a deep stance and really pushing that arm out there and has that lightsaber back. But in order to do that, you're going to have to really work with that balance or bring in the stand. So that's kind of like a dealer's choice to the collector, to those of you out there who just chose to get this figure, and why wouldn't you? But it can be done, and it looks really cool when if you have the patience and tenacity to make it happen.
All right, I went a little bit wider.
On my Flickr. There it is.
Of course, I'm also trying to
Okay,
balance
Rob,
it on
I'm
something
just-
that's spinning, but
Really quick, while you work on that balance, guy, I'm going to ask Rob, do we have a winner yet for Guess the Reveal? He says we do. I can see him nodding his head. Okay, cool. So do you want to tell us who that winner is, or
Linda over on YouTube.
Linda
Got
on
it
YouTube?
right.
all right.
Okay,
well, I'm
should
ready
we,
to
reveal the figure now, or are we? Are they bringing it in? Look at that.
They're bringing
Look at
it.
that. You nailed
They're
it.
bringing
God,
it in.
that
This is
looks
a very
great.
large box. Now, of course, I have been duped before with photos of Paul saying I've been duped. So let's see. You never know. Oh, gee. Wow. Oh, hey.
Ooh,
We are going
that's not
quarter
six
scale. We're going big. Woo-hoo. I will look much smaller in next week's episode.
It will totally look much smaller. That's
I
yeah.
would say it's diet and exercise, but let's be honest, it's all because we just made the figure bigger. But that, wow. I'm
relative. Wow, that's
really
gonna be a lot
excited.
of fun, Guy.
These quarter scales are spectacular. This is giving you that statue type size, but with the availability of doing poses and stuff, which
we
is
talked about is that involving
darn.
6-scale figure collecting. Yeah,
pretty darn incredible.
I'm pretty stoked about this. Super producer Sam is going to need a wider lens, I think. Am I right? No?
He's
Maybe not?
yeah,
Okay.
he has told me he's doing it all from the air in a drone. No,
That's a good idea.
that's probably not going to happen.
A drone inside the Sideshow studios. What could go wrong?
You know, we're gonna see how that goes. But
I saw you messing around with some cool stuff
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
gonna step
background there,
aside
Guy. What's
again.
going on? What have you?
I'm going to
what have you got
step
there?
aside again because we have that incredible bright red and glow and pulsating with the helmet. I wanted to bring in the Red Troopers. I loved the look of these guys. I remember getting to see the teaser when they had the Stormtroopers on display, and it was kind of the evolution of Stormtroopers, and there was this red one that obviously stood out. I also love the Jet Troopers. I like the idea that we hear things like, oh, great, they fly now. And then to have them in the red like that. So I pulled out.
I actually have both of those figures. I have a Sith Jet Trooper and a Sith Trooper.
Well, I
here.
expect nothing less.
I know. And look, I was just going to say, of course, because I do. Because why wouldn't I?
As do I.
Yeah, the Sith Trooper was actually a gift to me for my birthday, for my 50th birthday, from a friend of mine at Sideshow, and I'm really grateful to her for that.
They're such a
regular
neat,
Sith Trooper. Yeah,
they're such a neat look. I'm partial to the Jet Trooper only because I loved the idea that hey, they can fly. That's the one to his left, and I also think it has that kind of praying mantis like look on the helmet.
There is something to that.
Different. That helmet is not at all like any of the other.
No, except that it does maintain the tradition of keeping like a skeletal / whitish / some sort of undead figure. You just see that thing just rising out of a grave and coming at you.
And it's a dynamic stand. I can have them flying around. So you can even have height in your display if you got a couple of the Jet Troopers with him like that. But I think it's fun. But I wanted to show that bright red. Because I wanted to show obviously the way it is on the Kylo helmet, and then how it is that same bright red that you've seen in the Sith.
Yeah, that works really well.
Do
me a favor, just for the look of that shot, Guy. Is there a way that I can talk you into like rotating Kylo about 90 degrees to his right, so that he's so it looks like he's force pushing towards the camera?
Is that
I think that might make for a really excellent shot if we did that. And yeah, like he's just about to accidentally.
You are going to tell me when to stop, sir.
That's it, right there, nailed it.
Boom.
And is there a way? Can you light up the blade?
That would involve the switching out of the arm.
That's right. Okay.
I did not do the switch out.
Yeah, that's for those watching. It's a really good of Guy to not do that, to have to make you go through that, because it actually does take a fair bit of time to do that intricate process of switching out the arms.
But yeah, we can obviously talk about it. I will hold what would be the ignited next to it. If you like, I can remove the blades. But yeah, it's really more of a time element that you want to be careful and delicate, and that is talked about here.
Yeah, we discussed it before that it was better to actually.
Yeah, in your instructions there will tell you how to go about doing it.
We could have done that, but we would have had to hit one fewer pose.
Exactly. We wouldn't have been able to show you quite as many poses. Terry, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think if you are going to swap out to the lit blade, obviously remember you've got that in, even when you turn it off, because
Yes.
you do have that restricted motion in the wrist.
Yes.
If you think that you don't have, if you think you have the standard posable arm and you were to turn that hand too much or yank it because you're going to switch it to a fist, you will have destroyed that arm. So it is something that it needs to be a definitive choice in your posing. And I think you and I wanted to play with this so much, we didn't want to make any solid full-on decisions 100%. Today. So, but I dig him.
Yeah, I think, and now that you've added the Sith Trooper into the whole mess, it looks, and I'm using the word mess very affectionately, that I think it really just lends a lot more life to it, and just speaks to me a lot about the best aspects of the Rise of Skywalker, and there are a lot of really good bits in there. And the design of some of these characters is chief among them. I really feel that way. Man, the pose guy. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, it's hard to translate through speech exactly what to do or how to. But I think that over time we're actually starting to get it right. And the proof is in the pudding, and that's a really nice looking pudding right there.
Well, thank you. It really is great to have you. I mean, I've obviously been a viewer of How to Be a Poser a lot, and to get those step by step, and to really, when I'm here manipulating these, have you really kind of guiding me through there, and me realizing that it doesn't have to be large moves. I think for a long time I thought, well, I have to be very dramatic in everything in order to really bring this thing to life, and now realizing it can be as subtle as the way in which the hand turns.
That's a common misconception, I think, in the 6-scale posing community, or not so much with the people who are actively doing it that you're seeing do it online, but yeah, I think that you can go either way. I mean, there's an art that goes along with both of them. I think that there are some minutia that you need to apply, whether you're doing a dynamic pose or a museum pose. It's not just moving arms as far apart as possible. There's a lot of subtlety to it.
Yes. They're not.
So anyway,
they're not all doing the splits.
Yeah. So thanks so much for that, Guy. Rob, thanks so much for fielding the questions, for actually. Well, I can't even imagine what it's like trying to monitor all those channels. So really grateful to have you aboard here for this episode. Thanks for filling in. Looking forward to seeing you back on here again at some point. Congratulations to our winner for the Unsealed and Revealed Guess the Reveal contest. You will be receiving a copy of the book Figure Fantasy by Daniel Picard. It's basically the tradition that we give away that book to the winner of this competition. So look forward to that. You'll be sending an email at some point to Rob or his equivalent, I'm sure. That's about it for this week's episode of Unsealed and Revealed. Thanks to Guy, thanks to Rob, thanks to Sam, thanks to Chris, to Alan, of course, obviously. Is not sure if he's back yet, but Julian, if you're there, hey, thanks very much.
Yes, he is back today.
Hey, Julian, welcome back.
We're gonna take these and play a little bit more.
Oh, I'm so jealous. Wish I was there. At any rate, thanks again, everyone, for tuning into the show. We hope you had as good of a time as I did today. And until next time, don't forget to let your geek side show.
Bye, everyone.